The reason for having this conversation is because I feel that at times, I need to turn off the TV remote. At times, um, hi Precious Shine, good evening. So I'm just about starting. Now, the reason why I am having this conversation titled Key Man Risk Assessment is many a time people assume that the reason their business is failing. Hi, Daniel Chris. Good evening. Many a time people assume that the reason their business is failing is because they don't have money. So when you ask somebody, oh, why did you have issues with your business? Why did your business close down? Why did this happen? Why does that happen? One of the first responses you get is, oh, the business failed because I don't have money. And it then comes across as though if I had enough money, my business will still be thriving. So, those people whose businesses are thriving not because, so because the assumption then becomes the people whose businesses are thriving is thriving not because they know how to run a business, but because they have money. And nothing, maybe I should put this to my right, or yeah, to this side. And nothing can be further than that from the truth. Nothing can be further than that from the truth. One of the stories I remember vividly a lot is the story of Oprah Winfrey. Some of us know Oprah Winfrey, the story of Oprah Winfrey. There is this program in the US called The Daily Show. There is this program in the US called The Daily Show. And sometimes, I think last year or last 2 years, when the host was still Trevor Noah, he invited Oprah Winfrey to the show. And I remember vividly that when she came to the show, at some point in the show, there is a point where he allows the audience to ask questions. And uh, a lady in the audience asked Oprah Winfrey a question. She said, we know you have a lot of schools, you have a free school, not a lot, you have a free school in South Africa. At what point are you going to replicate this in the US so that we, the US citizens, can also benefit from free education? And Oprah Winfrey responded and said, yes, she has plans of replicating the same thing in the US, but it has taken her 10 years. It has taken her 10 years to learn how to run a school effectively. 10 years. 10 years to learn how to run a school effectively. We are not going to say that the reason Oprah Winfrey is taking that much time to learn is because she doesn't have money. Because you see, one of the biggest issues about not having money is you tend to interpret every problem and failure in terms of money. And I see this a lot in businesses. I see this a lot with farmers. I am not trying to downplay your need for money in your business. I am only trying to say money is not the only thing you need in your business. That is why I am having this conversation titled Key Man Risk. Key Man Risk. Because you see, the reason many a time your business idea is not able to raise money is not because, I'm sure there are some of you that you would say, my business is doing well. I am getting the right figures and everything. And even when you spoke to the bank and all of that, they are like, your business is profitable, but we still cannot invest. And you are wondering, what do you mean my business is cool, but you still cannot invest or you can't give me money? Because they don't know how to tell you that what they see is something called key man risk. Key man risk. Excuse me, please. So the question then becomes, what is a key man risk? What is key man risk? Because as your business begins to grow, the importance of your key man risk becomes more and more obvious. If you are somebody on this life and you run a business, you are somebody on this life, but let's say you are somebody running a business. Have you sat down for once to ask yourself what positions or which people in this my business that if they suddenly, God forbid, fall sick or die, will disrupt my business a lot if something suddenly happens? Let's take an example. You as the CEO, I'm trying to check that Twitter is still working well. You as the CEO of your business, if something happens to you right now, can your business continue to thrive in your absence? Should something happen to you right now, can your business continue to thrive? It does not even have to be a negative thing. Let's say right now, as you are watching this live, you just get a call suddenly, and you are told, oh, the presidency of Nigeria has been watching what you are doing, and we love what you do. Because of that, the presidency wants to give you as a CEO a sponsored trip, maybe to Israel. Okay, they are fighting in Israel. Maybe to Netherlands, to go there and stay for 6 months and learn more, get access to technology with maybe even a blank check of 500 million naira to get equipment. The question is, if you get such an opportunity to go, do you think you will come back and meet your business? Or will it be a thing? So I'm using Netherlands intentionally because, or even the US, where our day and their night are not the same. Or will it be a thing of you are working there schooling, and when we are awake that you are supposed to be resting, you are awake trying to run operations from there? Is that the life that you would have? Because what it then means is, you as a CEO, you are a risk to this company. You are a liability. Yes, we know you are an asset to the company, but when investors are trying to plot the risk in the company, you are a risk in that company. Why are you a risk in the company? Should anything happen to you, the company cannot thrive. So, as much as you are valuable, the problem is you are a potential risk. If I'm making any sense, is anybody getting what I'm trying to explain? Because these are the things people look at when they look at your business from the angle of an angel investor or a venture capitalist or a major donor of the organization. These are the things they look at. Because should something happen to you as the CEO, that business is done. And think about it. You are going around saying, I need to raise money. The people that have the real money, they are looking at, if we give you this money and something happens to you, our money is gone. Because the business is as successful as you. Meaning, anytime you say you are traveling, the problem is It is you that is traveling as a person for a wedding, for a this, for a that. But the reality is, you are not just traveling, you are carrying the hope of whatever amount was invested in you on the road, in quotes. Because if you took an investment of 100 million naira, anytime you travel, God forbid you have an accident, 100 million naira just had an accident, not just you. Because you are the brain in the business. You are the critical point in the business. Are we together? So it may not just be you. You may have a staff. Maybe, let me take an example right now. On the farm, I have a drone that can spray. I have an agricultural drone, a big agricultural drone. But I don't know how to operate the drone. However, we have different staffs in the operations unit who has been trained on how to operate the drone. But imagine a scenario where only one staff knows how to operate that drone. That staff has become a risk for the company, a huge risk. Because should anything happen to the staff, the drone has become redundant. Let me look for another way to explain it. Have you asked yourself that why is it that there are some staff in some mega companies that when they want to travel, they will not allow them to go without escort? And I'm telling you, there are staffs like that. I remember, I don't want to call organizations names, there were some people that were supposed to visit me. Before they came to the farm, they sent their security to the farm. There is a particular one that has not come till date because the security person said, oh, there was, they call it whether blind spot. That there is a blind spot because when they moved from Lagos to the farm, there were areas where internet disappeared. So those areas are blind spot, which means their whatever security cannot monitor remotely while they are on the road. So they didn't come. Immediately, I knew that the person in this position is a key man risk. They may have people that are below, but this person holds a unique position that losing them can affect the operation. So they would rather tailor your movement. They would rather tailor how you eat. They would rather tailor where you visit. Your charger, yes. Sorry, I wanted to bring it for you before. Thank you for the easy for the man. They would rather tailor every other thing that you do. Why? Because key man risk. So, as a business, you then need to sit down. You need to sit down and start mapping gradually on your own. And what I want to try to do, I may not finish it this night, is to try to guide us step by step what we can do on our own to look at these gaps, identify these gaps, and figure out how to close it. And gradually move these gaps from people to structures, from people to system. Things. One person is doing 1,000 things. But what I want to teach us gradually is how do I take that risk from a person to being a system? Because controlling the risk in a system is easier than controlling the risk in a person. Let me use football terminologies. Hopefully I get it right. If you watch football, you will remember when Messi was still in Barcelona, there is a way they try to manage him in a match because he was seen as a key man. So anything that happens to him can disrupt the whole team. So he is a key man risk. So you will hear about top athletes like Messi, like Ronaldo. You will hear the club will say they put them on a regime of what to eat, how to eat, where to sleep. You can't take too much alcohol. You can't do this. You can't do that. Why? You are seen as a key man. You are seen as a key man. Because as a company, as a startup, as you begin to grow, you need to first identify who are the key people that you will need for your success. There are people that when they say, I want to leave, you can let them leave easily because they are not key to your success. But there are those that are key that you need to realize that there is a need to start multiplying them quickly. Multiplying them meaning replicating their skills in other people. Because if, for example, I am a key man risk, but I have multiplied myself in 3, 4, 5 people, the more I multiply myself, the less risk I pose when I leave. Because at that point, there are other people who have been trained that can replicate what I do. But the end point is not to replicate me in people, but to document my processes, not my emotions, the processes that gets the results done. The key thing is to document those processes to a point where I am able to put that into a document. Those of us on TikTok, you can share for people that you feel needs to be a part of this and needs to learn. So because when I hear people saying, oh, nobody wants to give money, nobody wants to this, nobody wants to that, and I am able to have conversations with some people, and I get shocked when I realize, no, you have not built a risk-averse environment. You have not built a risk-averse environment. Should anything happen to this person, should anything happen to this staff, should anything happen to your agronomist, to anything happen to your security, you are back to square zero. It can affect your revenue. It can affect your processes. It can take you 6 months to recover, 1 year to recover, so on and so forth. I am sure you would have heard a statement like, you have to build your business to be resilient. Resilience is first taking care of your key man risk. 2, maybe another day we'll have time to discuss that, having what we call a succession plan, a succession system. So how do I build my system to be resilient? Please share on TikTok for others to learn. Number 1, you need to map out your critical roles. You need to map out your critical roles for your success. Sit down one day and ask yourself, what are those things that if we get wrong, we have failed as a business? What are those things we can afford to get wrong? What are those things that a little wrong, the ripple effect is too bad? That is number 1. You have to map it critically. This is not about bias. This is not about what? Bias. And you must know this failure that I speak of, is it a failure that affects internal or a failure that affects external environment? How do I mean whether it is a failure that affects internal or a failure that affects external environment? How do I mean? Simple. There are things, there are systems, or there are processes that can fail in what you are doing that the customer, the world will not know. It is only internally that the struggle will be. Don't forget the point I'm trying to make. There are some things that can go wrong on your farm that the customer will not even know something went wrong. So there are critical things that goes wrong, but the impact and the effect is in the internal environment. It only affects you internally, but externally you still look good as a business. But there are critical things that will go wrong that it affects your customers' perception of you, your customer relationship, access to market, or could even destroy your reputation and market standing. And as a business, when we try to decipher your key man risk and we are mapping out the critical roles, we are most concerned with the external environment not really the internal first. When we come to succession deals first with internal before external. So, what are those critical things? What are those critical processes? Nothing happen internally, it is going to be disastrous externally. Critical roles. But that it is not about the person. What role is this thing? So maybe as a business, you are a farmer, you are looking at, let me give you an example that might make sense. If in error I go and buy a bad fertilizer, and I found out I bought a bad fertilizer, maybe I will just go to the market and buy a new fertilizer that is good, Abi? Yes. So the bad fertilizer that I bought may affect my finance internally. The bad fertilizer that I bought may mean that the profit margin is reduced. It may mean I shout on procurement, why did you not do quality check, blah, 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 blah. But by the time I get the right fertilizer, the product hits the market does not get to know I had a bad fertilizer at some point, or my pumping machine is spoiled at some point. So those are things that might be critical for your business, but it only affects the internal environment. That is different from those things that happens internally that affect your external environment. So you need to now sit down and ask yourself, rules. What, e.g., off the top of my head, your customer care person, regardless of even if it is you playing the role yourself, even if you are the one playing the role of customer care yourself, you need to understand that the way you relate to people, especially when it is a phone call, can affect the perception of the business. So, which means I must train myself or whomever that is in charge of picking calls of the company, that if for any reason at all you are in a bad mood, a missed call is better than a rude response. I will say that again. A missed call is better than a rude response. So if maybe I am in a bad mood and a call is coming, especially when you don't even know who is calling. If I don't know who is calling, I should not be picking the call if I'm in a bad mood, if I am not cheerful. Because remember that when you talk on the phone, you can feel the joy or sadness of a person through the phone. I don't know if you understand what I'm talking about. There is a perception of this person I am talking to is happy to talk to me. There is the perception you get. Oh, this person is not in a good mood. So you want to ensure that whomever plays the role of customer care is somebody that understands the control over their emotions and can be honest enough to say, okay, I will not pick this call by 8 a.m. Let me get myself together by 8:30. I will call back and apologize for missing the call. Because the person calling you can just make an abrupt conclusion just because of the 10 seconds that was off. Maybe something was happening around you that was not making you happy. You did not know when you picked the call and said, yes, hello, hello. Talk loud. And why are you not talking loud? Meanwhile, the person is talking loud. Network was just acting up. Network was just acting up. So I don't know if I'm making any sense. So you need to know those critical roles. You are the one that would map it out for your company. The reason I use customer care is customer care works across whomever takes inquiries. Oh, somebody is calling your farm. They want to make inquiry. who is in charge of receiving that inquiry. You have almost every company today have a WhatsApp number that people can chat with. Who is holding that WhatsApp number? Who responds to WhatsApp messages? Does the person have the decorum to understand that you cannot be replying WhatsApp message with shorthand? The B's is fine. D, you write letter D. No. That you need to be professional. You might be the best shorthand writer in your personal life, but there is the professionality that you must assume. That you cannot respond. The fact that the customer sent, hi, how much is pepper? That you cannot just respond with pepper is 15 naira, full stop. No. Courtesy demands you start with good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for reaching out. Pepper is this amount. Courtesy demands. Courtesy demands. When you start it off and you are small scale, you might be the one doing all of this. But you start writing it in a document so that as your business begins to grow, you will not have time to be training everybody. But they will not take their time to read the document on how to respond to text messages in this company, how to respond to phone calls in this company. That we don't just shout, yeah, hello, yes, or the phone is ringing, green, you just pick the phone. What? Who is calling? Why? So that is number one. You need to map out critical role. Number two, you need to map out what we call dependencies. Dependencies. What is dependency? Dependency is, you have mapped out the critical that can mar the company, that can break the company. You have mapped out the critical roles. But dependency is, you need to now start looking at which other roles depends on these roles. Because we need to map out which is the most threatening, which is the riskiest, which one has what's that thing called, not catastrophe, when you have ripple effect. Which one has the most ripple effect in this company? These are things you need to start asking yourself. And that is based on dependencies. Dependency. Maybe there is one role that is critical, but the issue is that role is not just critical in itself. There are 10 other things connected to it. Let me take an example. Your marketing, your sales team. Your sales team, maybe they are the ones that went to take the produce. They are the ones that we send it to go and deliver. So, sales team are critical. But the issue is, the sales team cannot deliver the product without logistics team. Now, let's assume a scenario where your logistics team is, you went to the car park to look for a driver. Now, logistics in itself is high risk. But the issue is, the logistics and the sales are interdependent on each other. So, you now have two high risk dependent on each other. Then, you now realize not only are these two dependent on each other, even your customer care service is dependent. Because when the driver says, I'm on my way, and the customer is calling you, you don't even know whether the driver is lying to you. And you are trying your best to pacify the customer. At the same time, you don't want to insult the driver, so that the driver does not insult the customer. You see the way dependencies work. So you now know that in your risk factor, this risk is more heightened because of the interdependency. These three are interdependent on each other, so it is riskier. Which means when you are now going to, because you understand the risk level of this thing, in selecting the driver, you see there is now a different level of intentionality. You are not just picking the driver for picking sake, because you now understand this driver should mess up, it could affect future sales. It will put me as the customer care into overdrive of multiple work. So what do I need to do? What do I need to do? I remember those days in my early days when I go to places like Kuto. We go to my 12 to look for drivers. I had to ensure that I will look for a driver that has an Android phone. I was not looking for a driver to Nipala who speaks French. I don't speak French. I'm not sure I understand that. I go and look for a driver that understands that has a smartphone. Then I sit down. When before I'm talking about going to the market, I'll go, there was a market park. There were times I go to car parks to befriend driver, to be friends with drivers, those before started owning our trucks. I got to know there was this driver we were using. What is his name? Oga Muyideen. Yes, Muyideen. Great guy, great man. He was one of the few that had a smartphone. I'll not tell Oga Muyideen, I want Omofere Ilola for 2 hours. He will ask me, where are we going to? I'll be like, no, I just want us to drive around together. You say, I say, yes. What do I do when I go and pick him up from the car park to drive around? And I pay him for the 2 hours. I started teaching him how to use Google Map. I will pay. I will be going around with him using Google Map. Thank you, Runo Farm. We'll be driving together using Google Map. When he has understood Google Map, I will teach him how to share. How to share where he is with me. So that by the time I started, because we were having issues with drivers a lot, it has happened to me. At times, driver go cost customer go call cost us back. We'll come they do, what do you call them? Sorry, no verse. Mommy, don't worry, the next time I supply you, I will add extra 5 kg for free, extra 10 kg for free, just to pacify. Mommy, I'm so sorry. We will do voice note. I'm just one of you that are businessmen, you relate with what I'm saying, we'll start begging. But in a way to be able to avoid all of this, what did I do? By the time I had taught them how to use Google Map, they know how to use Google Map. It was their oga. Over time, a lot of drivers in a place called Pansheke started wanting to work with us because I was moving out a lot of produce. And most of these drivers, what they had was Sienna. So I was not using big truck because I realized training a truck driver was harder. But for small drivers, I will pay them tow and fro. They just need to go and drop tow. Except, okay, at some point they were doing tow and fro because I will give them crates that they will go and drop. When they are coming back, they will help me pack my crate one side and still bring passenger, and they are happy. I was like, then the thing we were doing is it Monday, Wednesday, Friday delivery. So they were sure of good money those 3 days. So other drivers started buying good phones so that they could be part of us. But what did that help me do in trying to reduce key man risk? It meant that when you come in as a one, two, three, four. Sorry about that. So when you come in as a driver, we have now taught you how to use Google Map. With that Google Map, once you leave the farm and we say bye-bye, you have shared your location with us. We also share that location with the customer. For customers that don't know how to track location, we are the one tracking. We don't wait for you to call us, we call you. Hello ma, good afternoon ma. Please ma, the driver has got into Mende, Maryland, but from our tracking there is traffic. Please ma, the map is showing us that they will get to you in another 3-4 hours. I'm so sorry ma, it is traffic. You see, at this point, the customer is more relaxed and happier because we are not waiting for them to reach out. We are the ones reaching out. 2, the customer is not having to call the driver. We are not having to call the driver. The driver is not having to be agitated. If maybe we are checking Google Map, driver has stopped moving, 1 minute, 2 minutes, we check where did this driver stop, because remember I have applied this road several times when I was just starting. I know where all the checkpoints are. So if we see the driver is stopping, oh, what's happening? This is not an area where there is checkpoint now. Hello driver, Ejo, Kino Shele, or what's happening? You have stopped for a bit, what's wrong? Oh, the driver could say, oh, my tire is having issues, I'm trying to change tire. How long will it take? Okay, oh, please be fast. We are calling customer immediately. Customer, please, so don't be angry. We just want to update you that our driver's tire spoiled in so place. He is fixing tire, or he's having engine problem, or he's having this. You see, the customer feels like, oh, we are carrying them along. We actually value them. Why are we taking time to try to solve this? Because we saw a place of too many interdependencies. And where the interdependencies are high, the risk is too high. The risk is too high. Number 3 is quantify the financial risk of that dependencies, of those dependencies. What are the financial risks? Does it have an immediate impact on our finance? Does it have a long-term impact on our finance? What will it cost to repair it? Because if the cost to solve that risk and what the risk will cause, how do I explain that? English is scattering in my head. Let's say the risk that I am seeing is a risk of 1 million naira, but the cost to repair the risk is 10 million naira, then maybe it is a risk you don't want to solve immediately. But if you are seeing a risk of 1 million naira, but it could take you 10,000 naira to solve it, then that is a risk worth investing in quickly. How much did it cost me those days to carry Oga Muyideen around? I don't think in total we spent up to 100k. Because I will go and meet him in Pasheke, we'll just drive around, and if you know the way drivers work, they are on queue. So when he says, Omar, they told me boya be another 3 hours. So while we are moving around, he has already kept his spots down. We are moving around. By the time he comes back, he picks up his spot, he enters queue. So technically, he did not lose any money. He only would not have the time to have sat there and be resting, doing nothing, is what we took from him. So you need to quantify the risk. You need to quantify the risk to say, how much is this risk? Because many a time, the reason why we overlook risk is because we are not able to quantify that risk in form of naira and kobo. Once you quantify a risk in form of naira and kobo, you would be able to probably attend to that risk in a much more intentional way. When you know what a risk costs you financially, if it is not taken care of, you might attend to the risk in a different way. Why is it that a lot of people do not do insurance? Because you are not quantifying the risk of something going wrong financially. Instead, you are more interested in what it is costing you to pay for the insurance. I'm not advertising insurance company. Finally, test and benchmark. Test and benchmark. What is testing and benchmarking? When you have noticed some things that can go wrong in the form of risk, try to, on your own, maybe if a staff is not available, what will happen? Oh, what if me as the CEO am not around? What will happen? So test it. Take a day off, switch off your phone. Test to see, do I have a system that is resilient to my absence? Test it. There are some things you will map out as potential risk, but you may be assuming, because the problem is you may be over exaggerating the risk in your mapping. You might be over exaggerating that risk in your mapping. So test and benchmark. What does the benchmarking do? What does the testing do? It allows you to actually check the risks to be sure that what you think is a risk is actually a risk. One, two, it is as bad as you have thought it would be. You may test and realize it is not as bad as you thought, and you may test and realize it is worse than you thought it could be. You may just be shocked. I remember those days before we expanded our training to as big as it is today. People that I was looking at, oh, you are going to be a future facilitator to teach other people agribusiness. While I am teaching, I take 30 minutes, 1 hour, okay, oh, I have a meeting, please let me take this class. I was testing them. You do not give the person a platform without testing them first. Okay, I will pause in case of any question. If you have any question, let me pause so that you can ask. If it's on Twitter, you can just send this thing I would accept. On TikTok, you can join and ask questions or type your questions. Key man risk. Even if this is where we stop today, we'll continue tomorrow step by step. Any question? You can open YouTube because there are questions there. Any question on key man risk? Because you see, at times the reason a lot of businesses are suffering is because they've not understood these things that we are talking about. The network is poor tonight, sorry, but I'll leave it recorded. They've not understood some of these little things. When you see businesses that are failing or falling, it is not because they got the big things wrong, it's because they got the little things wrong. It is the little things that they get wrong that kills businesses, not the big things. Not the big things, it's the little things. Those little things. And the reason why it is bad is because they don't look significant. They don't look significant, but gradually they are the ones that destroys everything. Any question? Any question? Any question? Any question? Like I said, we can stop here for today. It's already almost an hour. We can stop here for today so that by tomorrow, hopefully I'll be able to continue, if not on Monday. I'm just trying to take it step by step. The goal is not to say what I overknow. The goal for me is to show that we can learn these things step by step. It's for us to learn it step by step. It's to learn it step by step. So any question? Okay, so thank you for joining. We'll continue tomorrow. It cannot be tomorrow night because tomorrow night we have bonfire where we are eating suya and all. So so tomorrow maybe I will try if I can do 7 a.m. because tomorrow night we have suya to eat. So thank you for joining. We'll continue tomorrow. Team on TikTok, on Twitter. Thank you for. Okay, there is a request. Sorry, I didn't see that initially. I am Deoshun. I've accepted. You can unmute and ask your question.
Hello. Thanks for this space and thanks for this platform.
Thank you, sir.
My question is about what you just mentioned around using yourself, taking yourself out of the system and see how the system runs without you being there. So my question, moment I'm at that junction. So at what point is the right time to experiment this? Is there like a right time to do it, or just do it and see what happens. That's what I want to clarify. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. So his question, I'm asking again because of people on TikTok and YouTube, so they may not have heard your question. My Oga's question is, when is the right time to evaluate your key man risk where you as the CEO step away? So the right time to, or let me use the word the right time, but you should start looking at it when you have started employing people that you feel are your number two. You want to give whomever you feel is your number two an opportunity to be number one. You want to see how the result is. You have somebody that you have been training, you have been teaching, give them a chance to try it out. Maybe it can be in anything. So as the CEO, you are the one always attending interview, but you also want somebody else to take that stress off you. They cannot, you will not know how good they are without giving them an opportunity to attend an interview. You may not give them a big one that the failure will be loud, but somewhere that you are able to still control the narrative. It may be agronomy that you are trying to give somebody to test out. Let them try it out. Some of the, in our earlier days when I was doing a lot of trials, some of the older staff would tell you if you come to ask them in Soilers that, oh, those days when you come to me and you say there is a plant there, and I tell you go and figure it out. I was trying to figure out who has the capacity to lead the agronomy team, who can think, who can be creative. That does not mean when I say go and figure it out, I'm not watching with one eye from afar. So you will know when you are thinking of expanding, you need to have tested your people. Because at some point, your expansion will be built on the knowledge of your team, not just your knowledge anymore. And if you've not had an opportunity to test them, you might be trusting them in their area of weakness, and you didn't know. If that answers the question, sir. Minister of Agriculture, that's wow. Another person. I don't know if I've answered your question, Miss Ayamade or so. Minister of Agri, please ask your question. You can unmute and ask. So we are not done. Okay, good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
I'm just here to appreciate your efforts.
All right, thank you, sir.
Because I followed you. I saw all your videos, your effort there, and Soilless Farm Lab. I wish I could attend the training, but I couldn't find someone to sponsor me. So actually,
when you say sponsor, you sponsor you in what sense?
In coming, the transport fee and the feeding, yeah.
Oh,
that's
okay.
Why.
All right.
But okay, sir. But next year, are you going to offer the training again?
I already said I'm going to make an official post about that next month. So you will not ask with idea for me to answer.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Sorry to
ask. No, it's fine. No. There is no reason to be sorry. It's just that I've already said it's by next month or so I will make it public what we want to do next year.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Okay, thank you for the feedback. Okay, thank you for that. So tomorrow we will be looking at tomorrow morning. I'll be looking at how do we build resilience. You know, today we've looked at key man risk. So tomorrow we look at how do you build resilience into your business? How do you build resilience into your business? And then if there is time, I will then look at how to scale your business while ensuring resilience. How do you scale your business? And if there is time, I'll be able to teach us how do you move your business from where it is right now, that in another 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you are able to build something that is scalable. Then, hopefully, if there is enough time, we'll then get to how to create wealth. How do you build your business to get to $1 million in revenue? $1 million in revenue is just about 1.5 billion naira. It's just about 1.5 billion naira. So they're like, you are shouting, have you know what 1.5 billion is? 1.5 billion is not as big as you think it is. 1.5 billion naira, if we divide that by 12, that's just about 125 million naira in a month. Divide that by 4, that's about 31 million naira in a week. If you are into, regardless of what it is, if you know how to scale, we'll then teach you how do you create pillars of wealth that allows your business to scale. And how do you know whether you need equity building, tax optimization, loans for you to scale to get to that level. So if there is time, we'll get to look at all of that. And that is what will then bring us to how to implement a roadmap and measurement that ends key man risk. So key man risk is a big topic. The reason I'm not trying to rush it is because I know for a few of us, this is probably the first time you're hearing about key man risk, and I want to avoid what they call information overload. That I don't load you with so much information that at the end of the day, you have so much head knowledge, but you don't even know how to start. So if I could do 18 of an assignment, the assignment would be try and take your time between now and our next class and see what are the critical things that I need to work on in my business. What are the key man risks and all of that? Thank you, Runo Farm. What are those things? So map the critical things, assess your dependencies, quantify the financial risk for those things, test and benchmark. So that by the next time, I want to ensure that even if it takes us 1 week to finish this curriculum or this syllabus, so that by the time you look back and you look at your business, you are able to correctly say, okay, this is where I am in my business journey. This is what I need to correct. This is what I need to do. I always say this, that a lot of people will be like, Farmer Samson skilled, what is the secret? What is the thing? That is why I am teaching it for free. I could have said, I want to do a master class, online master class, and I say, okay, even if I charge, I could have said I want to charge even 5K or 10K or 20K. People will happily pay. And we do Zoom meeting. And in the Zoom meeting, it's still the same thing that I am teaching, I will teach. It's still the same thing. But because I understand that I am trying to help small businesses, and all businesses are not equal, all fingers are not equal, that is why I'm trying to make this for free. The only thing you need to do is have your own data to follow. And because I also know that network may not be so good, that is why I put, I'm leaving this on YouTube. So even if you had network issues at some point, or a call came in at some point that disrupted your listening, you just need to go on YouTube and watch it again. And get the information. I think there was a question. Thank you for the heart. So we'll continue tomorrow. Try, and if you know farmer friends that you feel need to learn some of these things, we can push for 7 a.m. We can push for 7 a.m. You can just be audio is in your ear. You don't need to see my face. I am sure I can do TikTok and YouTube. I don't know if I will still do Instagram, but tomorrow. So thank you for joining. I want to see if there's any other question on Twitter. None. Thank you for joining. Hope we learned 18 on 2 or 2. Have a great night. We'll try maybe make it 7 to 8 a.m. so that it's just an hour tomorrow also, and you can go do other things for the rest of the day. Have a great night. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, sir. We really appreciate.
Thank you.